Hello and welcome to this week's video. Today, I want to share with you a topic that I am so passionate about. I want to talk to you about, as busy women, why it's so important to actually understand what's happening to our bodies when we're restricting, and for you to actually understand why restricting often backfires for women's gut health, women's hormones, and women's energy levels. So, you may feel that you've been doing everything right for so long, but unfortunately, what you've created is a bit of a loophole where we're constantly restricting, then crashing, and then starting again. And I want to talk to you about that because I see it so often. Many women respond to feeling tired, feeling uncomfortable in their bodies with this restrictive cycle, and it really doesn't help. And as we head into age 40 plus, we're heading into the perimenopause, or we're already thoroughly into it, then this is when we start to see some symptoms show up for us that doesn't serve us at all. So, for example, what do I mean by restricting? So we hear about different ways to restrict in social media, in context, in social worlds completely. For example, that could be eating less, counting calories, cutting more things, or cutting a particular food group. This is a very restrictive cycle. And just being more strict in general with everything, almost to the point where we're almost obsessed with everything that's going in. This level of stress that we're creating, you might think that's not stress, but actually we're trying to do something that's not natural for us. So it does create a stress response within the body. And I completely understand why we do it. It often feels like we're taking responsibility for our health by doing these things. But for women in particular, being so strict, being very restrictive like this, simply doesn't help. It can actually make things worse. Trust me, I've been there, I've lived that experience, and I've dealt with this so many times with clients that I work with. So, when your food intake becomes limited, whether that's your calories, whether that's food groups, whether it's just variety in general, how often you're eating, the regularity of your food, your body, as I say, just feels like it's under this immense stress. It perceives it as a threat. And it's not just necessarily the physical things that create stress in our life, mentally too. That mental load of thinking, I'm not able to have this, I can't have that, creates this backlog of stress. And when the body is stressed, lo and behold, it can't function optimally in other areas because it's busy doing something. Stress equals releasing, the stress hormone, which is cortisol. When the body's doing that, it's focusing on doing that. So it won't be working optimally in our digestion, in our metabolizing of the foods that we eat. Also, if we're in that stress response, we're not able to settle into a really good deep sleep. And that's when all the healing of every cell actually takes place. So, hopefully, you can understand that just by understanding that, you may be able to then resonate with it and think, yeah, I get that. I don't sleep as well when I'm restricting, or when I'm counting calories and I'm hungry, I'm less able to have a deeper sleep. Maybe you feel a bit on edge and anxious, and these particular things are your body's way of showing up for you, of protecting you and letting you know that this isn't right. It feels threatened. So 9 times out of 10, women that I see are hoping to lose a little bit of weight around this method. And this kind of creates a bit of a cycle that's not working for them. It's quite negative, to be honest. So what happens then is the body tries to protect itself. It holds on to weight, it clamps down, or it can start to hold on to some inflammation, be that water, be that fluid, whatever it is. It could be hormonal shifts, and that does happen. We become out of balance with our hormones when we're under this constant stress because we're trying to restrict, trying to be stricter with ourselves, trying to eliminate foods that we enjoy, all of these things. I'm not saying that we can't look to reduce the things that we enjoy, but that would be the most sensible, kind of wise way to get into this sustainable, healthy lifestyle that's going to serve you and protect you and help to create that longevity that deep down we all absolutely desire, isn't it? So, what I want to explain to you is that when I'm working with clients, busy women like yourself that are just running around juggling all of the plates, already stressed in their everyday life. Like, for example, at filming this, it's currently just been the end of the month of January. Lots of people are feeling quite low because, January is a really long month. It's just been Christmas. There's been a nice break from work for many people. Then they've gone back into the work cycle, and we're working against our biocircadian rhythm because we're getting up when it's still dark. We're coming home when it's dark still. So we're not having very much contact with natural lifestyle. We're not actually able to tune into those natural cues around us, like daylight, like napping and staying in bed and getting that extra sleep because it's cold and dark outside. So again, that's another way of us naturally then working against nature. And that in itself creates a low level amount of stress constantly happening within our bodies. Then we're going out to work very busy. A lot of women that I work with in practice aren't having time to sit and digest their meals properly. Quite often, I find that they're not taking time out to become grounded before they're eating a meal, to release some of that stress that they've been running on, that adrenaline. And that can be easily done. I'll do another video on that around breath work. But actually, can you see here painting the picture that we've got this kind of constant stress happening to us? And then we're thinking, I'm not happy with the way I look. I don't feel good. I've not got the energy that I desire. I'm going to restrict some things because I want to see results and I want to get them fast. So hopefully you can understand that that's then going to create some more stress within the body. And as I say, the body's going to do absolutely everything it can to protect itself. And it's also still working really hard to release some of this stress response, release the stress hormone because we're very stressed. When it's doing that, the food that we put in, it's not able to metabolize and to, I say, kind of like filing it away into the right department in the body to give us the energy that we need to make us feel good. Yeah, so I just wanted to explain that with you, and perhaps you're sitting there now and you can understand that this is what's been happening to me. I'm not getting the results that I desire because I am being too restricted with my lifestyle, or perhaps you're having some kind of restriction and then it may then fall into a lapse where then we're not restricting, but we're actually going the other way and we're actually eating more of the foods that we were trying to restrict in the first place. And that's the body's natural way of saying, I don't want to give that up. Like, I need some of that. Now, I'm not saying there's definitely a time and a place for everybody to become strict for short periods of time if that's what we're wanting to achieve. If we're wanting like a short-term goal that's not sustainable, then definitely. But if we're wanting long-term health, we're wanting to feel healthy, strong, and we're wanting to feel, good within our bodies and have the energy that we need as busy women, then it's definitely here for the longer game. It's about looking at what habits am I doing on the daily that are contributing to my body being in stress? Can we look to remove that or reduce that down? And very often I work with clients to help them understand that and to reduce one thing at a time, nice and slowly. So if you don't get anything else from this video, I just want you to think about if there was one thing that I could, well, basically stop asking yourself, what should I cut out? And just the one thing would be, ask yourself, what does my body need right now off me? Like, what can I do to make my body feel really comfortable, really healthy, and energized? Just by shifting that mindset and becoming more aware of what the body does need, rather than looking at, I'm not going to give it this because I want fast results and I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want you to feel abundant within yourself. Your body deserves to be nurtured, to become lower stress. I'm not going to say, it nearly says stress-free then, but that's not a possibility in our very busy modern lives. But if we can reduce that stress down and we can start to nurture ourselves with the good foods that feel good for us internally, we'll start to feel better internally and look better and reap the benefits externally as well. So I share explanations like this every single week because understanding what's happening in your body, especially for very busy women, having someone else explain that for you is always really helpful, isn't it? So if you're interested in finding out more, learning on the go, and if this resonates with you at all, you can subscribe to my channel and you can come back for next week's video. Thank you so much for listening.